In the previous lesson, we learned how to perform a simple, straight-in landing during VFR conditions. In this lesson, we're going to learn how to perform an overhead landing pattern. This should be your usual VFR landing pattern, and it will be very similar to a Case 1 landing pattern you'll use to land on a boat. I currently have the lesson paused, as I want to first outline the airfield overhead pattern. Before flying the lesson, please make sure you are familiar with the HUD symbology as described in the manual. Press spacebar to continue. Ahead of you is a series of gates that you will fly through. These are designed to instruct you on where you should be during the pattern. You will start the pattern at 800 feet and 350 knots, just to the left of the runway. At the end of the runway, brake to the left with a G of 1% of your airspeed, in this case, 3.5 G for 350 knots. As your speed decreases, relax the G to match the speed. At 180 degrees of turn, level out on the downwind leg and descend to 600 feet, and you should be below 250 knots. When below 250 knots, lower your landing gear and lower the flaps to fold down. Press spacebar to continue.
That's a lot of information to take in.
Once on the downwind leg, establish yourself at 600 feet and slow the aircraft to on-speed angle of attack of 8.1 degrees. This can most easily be seen on the HUD by keeping the velocity indicator inside the E bracket. To the left of the HUD frame are the angle of attack index or lights. When on speed, the center donut should be lit. Maintain on-speed angle of attack during the downwind leg. Press spacebar to continue. As you roll out on the runway heading, fly to place the E bracket on the runway threshold and use throttle adjustments to control your glide path to be 3 degrees. Use pitch trim to keep the velocity vector centered in the E bracket. Press spacebar to continue. Prior to touchdown, do not flare the aircraft, but rather let it fly into the runway with no more than 750 feet per minute, as indicated above your altitude on the HUD. That is an overview of what we will be doing. Before we try this out though, let's first set up a couple of things in the cockpit. First, set the altimeter display on the HUD to display radar altitude by moving the altitude switch on the HUD control panel to the down RDR position. Using what you learned in the TACAN lesson, set the TACAN to 67X and a course of 70 degrees. This is the TACAN channel for Kobuleti Airfield, and it will provide us useful information to line up our downwind and final approach legs of the pattern. Press spacebar when done, and you are ready to unpause the lesson. We are now flying a heading of 64 degrees at 370 knots and 1,000 feet. Fly through the gates ahead, which will place us at 800 feet and offset to the right of the runway. We don't want to directly overfly the runway. Maintain an airspeed of 350 knots. Cage the velocity vector on the HUD by pressing the Cage Uncage button to the right of the throttle grip or pressing C. Approaching the end of the runway, we will continue to follow the gates for a 180-degree turn into the downwind leg. The turn rate will be based on a G that is 1% of our airspeed. In this case, 3.5 G for 350 knots. Now on the downwind leg, lower your landing gear and set the flaps to full once below 250 knots. Whilst doing this, descend and maintain 600 feet.
That is embarrassing. Little high, little high. What up, Tyga? Yeah, I freaking love flying this thing. I'm not very good at it, as you can see. That was a absolutely horrible landing. But we're getting there, man. We'll get there. And now I'm drifting off. Okay. Yeah, I freaking love this thing. It's sick. Yeah, obviously I didn't do something right. But we're learning, you know. Gotta go through a bunch of repetitions to get it down pat. And hopefully, you know, I can be comfortable hopping into a multiplayer server and actually be able to fight and or do, you know, the campaign runs or, you know, whatever they do for ground targets with AI, whatnot. That'd be cool. But gotta practice a lot first. And I might actually need to do that TACAN because I have issues with setting those courses. Oh, what's up, Ringo? I mean, there's a lot that I have yet to learn. Obviously, I don't know when you hopped in, but if you saw the landing, it was all but great. I mean, if you got any pointers you could give me, I mean, that'd be awesome. You know, whatever info you can give me to make the learning curve a little bit less, I guess. I mean, whatever you got, man. Hit me with pointers, I guess, for right now, until I think of an actual question.
A key part of any mission is the ability to navigate to and from the target. Two such tools the Hornet provides are automatic direction finding, or ADF, and tactical air navigation, or TACAN. ADF uses VOR stations located throughout the maps to get bearing-only information to them, and TACAN stations are co-located with many airfields, aircraft carriers, and some aerial refuelers. TACAN can provide both bearing and range, or just one of them depending on the source and TACAN mode used. In this lesson, we will discuss how to select ADF and TACAN navigation, and the steering information provided. I currently have the lesson paused as we first discuss a few items.
So
press spacebar to continue.
What, below 200? Maybe it's with landing gear down. I'm not sure that E bracket with the velocity vector. You got to line up inside the E bracket, and then the AOA of 8.1. I know that's the angle of the plane as you're coming down to the runway. Some of the stuff I know some of the lingo, yeah.
For this lesson, we will be using an ADF example and then TACAN to navigate back to our home training base at Kobuleti. Let's start with the simpler ADF. To start, let's first select the Horizontal Situation Indicator, or HSI, for the left DDI. Press the menu Time push button on the left DDI to bring us to the tactical page. Note that this button will indicate menu when on the ground, but will show time when airborne. Let's press the same push button again to bring us to the support page. Now on the support page, press the HSI push button. The HSI is your primary navigation page that will display TACAN, waypoint, and ADF navigation data. In the center of the HSI is an aircraft symbol that represents your position from a top-down vantage. Your true airspeed is to the left of the symbol and ground speed to the right. Centered and around the aircraft symbol is a compass rose, and on the very top is a louver line that indicates your heading in regards to the compass rose. Along the top of the HSI is the SCL, or Scale, push button. Consecutive presses of this push button will cycle through the scale range options of the HSI. Press spacebar to continue. An ADF is assigned to a specific frequency, which can also be stored as a preset on one of the two radios. In this case, we have the VOR ADF near Kutaisi Airfield preset as Channel 2 on Radio 1. Right now, Radio 1 is set to Channel 1, as you can see in the Channel Select window for Radio 1. To select a new channel preset, place your mouse over the Radio 1 select dial and rotate the mouse wheel forward until 2 is displayed. When you do, you will soon hear the characteristic ADF identification code for that VOR station. Press spacebar to continue. To display the bearing to the VOR station on the HSI, we need to set the UFC ADF function select switch to Radio 1. To do this, right mouse button click on the switch. With that done, you will now note a small circle along the outside of the compass rose at the 1 o'clock position. This is your bearing to the ADF signal. There is no range information though. As you can see, ADF is quite simple. Let's move on to TACAN. Press spacebar when ready.
So, what is, let's see here. We're talking about Kobuleti. Okay, so it's what is that?
In order to display all TACAN information on the HSI and HUD, press the TCN or TACAN push button on the HSI. Upon doing so, it will be boxed. Now we need to turn on the TACAN and set the code of the desired station. Press the TACAN button on the UFC. With the TACAN now selected on the UFC, we have three choices in the option select windows. TR is transmit receive and will provide both bearing and range guidance. RCV is for receive and will just provide bearing to the station. And AA is for air to air and will provide either bearing and range or just range depending on the aircraft. By default, we have TR selected, which is fine. The lower two option select windows allow you to select either an X or Y TACAN channel. For example, 67X. Now let's turn on the TACAN by pressing the on-off button on the UFC.
Yeah, see, I clicked that and it said it was supposed to be boxed, but it's not boxing. I don't know if I have to...
On the scratch pad, we now see that the TACAN is on and a default value of 1.
There we go. Okay. Yeah,
select clear on the UFC keypad to remove this. We will navigate to the TACAN station at Kobuleti Airfield, which has the TACAN code of 67X. Enter 67 on the UFC keypad and then press the enter button on the UFC. After entering 67X and pressing enter, press spacebar. With the TACAN station now selected, we have some new information on the HUD and HSI. On the right side of the HUD, we have the range to the station in nautical miles and the 3-digit code for the station to the right of the distance value. At the top of the HUD, along the heading tape, we have a steering bar that indicates the heading to the TACAN station. On the HSI, we have much more information. In the top left corner of the HSI, we have a data block with 3 rows. The top row is bearing, distance. The second row is time to go in minutes and seconds. And the bottom row is the station ID. On the outside of the compass rose is an inverted triangle with a T in the center. This indicates your heading to the station. There is a corresponding tail on the other side of the compass rose. Between the aircraft symbol and the T symbol is a 3-pronged symbol that represents the selected TACAN station. Press spacebar to continue. When the TACAN station has been selected, you can use the course set switch labeled CRS on the top right corner of the MPCD to set a course line that is centered on the selected station. Left click rotates the course line counterclockwise, and a right mouse click moves it clockwise. When a course has been set, the course line will be displayed on the HSI and on the HUD, with dots to represent 4 and 8 degrees of course offset. Press spacebar to continue.
You have to give me a minute. I lost my chat. What am I doing?
When a TACAN beacon is selected, you will also hear the coded ID. You can adjust the volume of this with the TACAN volume control knob labeled TCN on the volume panel. Press spacebar to continue. Where would that switch be? Are you talking, I mean,
and this is the only switch that I can see. And then manually enter the course. So I know, like, you can just hold it and it'll spin. Or do you mean you can enter it here, like on the data pad?
You can view airfield TACAN beacon channels by going to the F10 map, clicking on an airfield, and then reading the data of the airfield. This concludes our look at the HSI, ADF, and TACAN. When you are ready, press spacebar to unpause this lesson and practice navigating using the ADF and TACAN.
Okay, so let me ask you this one. Oh, okay. You're actually answering it. So where would I get the would I have to contact the tower for that course heading, or is it somewhere listed that I haven't found yet? And yeah, I have some head tracking software, but I don't have the I don't have like the Declan clip or anything like that with the infrared lights, so it's very spotty. And I've thought about VR. It's just, you know, the getting the money for it and stuff. I just haven't gotten that far yet. R shift and A. All right, yeah, I'll do that. That's what I got. That's what came up. Oh, the buttons down here. So that's Coballetti right there. And then it looks like, what, 64 degrees would be the course heading, the true heading. Yeah. Gotcha. I don't think... Let's see, let me select Coballetti as the, because that's, Tassi. Here. Actually, I'm close. Let's just, I'm gonna say I can map that one out and, try and land there. That's what this tutorial was. They had me type in the information for this airport or this base. No, you're good, man. I knew what you were talking about. I thought about flying over there even. You know, it doesn't. Well, No, because the TACAN for... That's KBL. But they said... Hold on. Let me just... I could have swore they said the 67X. That one's probably Copoletti. Yeah, that's 44X. Okay. So never mind. It was Copoletti. That's my bad. I could have swore he said that one. Weird. Anyway. Alright, so one, how do I get the that beeping to go away? That'd be a good one for starters. I've tried before, like with the volume knobs and stuff, but it just always seems to be there. Yeah, I mean, I guess I can do that. Why not? And then that one was 68, which I actually think I might have had selected already. Yeah, there we go. See, that's the thing. It's all the like. I mean, that's all the way down, and I noticed that before, so I was confused on that. I'm gonna turn down. I'll give it a shot. Nope, still there. I know there's this volume up here for COM 1, which I thought, you know, when I did all that, is that where it was coming through, but... Okay, so it just won't go away. That's fine. No biggie. That's okay, the radio. Alright, well, I guess I'll just try for a landing here at Katasi, I think is how you pronounce it. Katasi. See what happens here. Probably isn't going to be pretty. Good enough for me. I don't care. Unless you were telling me to do something different.
Altitude.
Yeah, I got the throttle all the way back. I did have it all the way forward though at one point, so that's my bad. Now you gotta maintain 350, I know that. Okay, yeah. Yeah, I knew 350 was the number for sure. Okay, okay. Yep, awesome. Back down to 800 feet or so, right? Flaps. Now, see, that's one thing I don't get is I rose a whole lot under 250, and I thought you could hold that bracket at 250. Or am I wrong? Never gear down over 2. Oh yeah, that's my bad. I did know that one. I've definitely messed some gear up before. Wrong, gotcha. Yeah, I rose a whole lot. So what's stage 1 at 220, 190? Yeah, I'm all over the place on this for sure. Oh, I'd believe it, man. There's so much information that, I mean, it's hard to manage. And even the training missions, man, like they do a good job at telling you what you need to know, but you know, I've had to go through I've had to go through, you know, training missions multiple times, and I know I'm doing this wrong too, because, you know, I should be able to manage my pitch with my throttle, and I'm definitely not doing that at all. Yeah, this is bad. Touchdown at 2,000 feet per second or whatever, or 2,000 feet a minute, whatever that descent rate is. Not good. Not good at all. But the plane's not in pieces, so there is that. I touched down way too hard. It was like it was like 2,000 feet per minute. It was bad. Not my best. I've had. I don't have my nose wheel steering on. I don't know what that is. Oh, that's why. I have no. That key map, but I'm pretty sure I have no steering on my stuff. Oh, thanks for the follow, man. I appreciate that. Yeah, for sure. I'll add you on Discord. 100%, man. I appreciate the help. That definitely, you know, it's good information, man. Even though I didn't apply all of it correctly, but didn't apply it correctly, but I do appreciate it. But any landing you walk away from is a successful landing, as they say. Oh yeah, I believe it, man. It's gonna take a lot of time. I know that for sure. It's definitely won't be an overnight thing, and I know that. I think I have like 50 hours in the game. Oh yeah, I believe it, dude. I believe it. You know, there's so many cool jets and planes in this game mode. It's hard to not get them just to fly them and you know, enjoy them. Even at the level I'm at, where you know I'll spend 2 hours just taking off, flying around, and then crashing the plane, and I don't really do a whole lot else other, you know, maybe tutorials and stuff. But I mean, it's hard to not, or it's hard to keep on track with one plane because there's so much else. Holy crap, dude. 1,700 hours. That's crazy. That's a lot of gameplay, man. That's awesome. But yeah, I've heard the Hornet is probably one of the best planes you can get, and that's why I bought it first. Oh hey, I don't blame you. I've known DCS as a game for quite a long time, but I never had the ability to play it because I never had a PC or anything like that. So I just got this PC at the beginning of this year. So one of the first games I downloaded was DCS, you know, to get into it because I was so excited to actually be able to play it. And I'm definitely, you know, invested. I bought a HOTAS, and you know, at some point I will get head tracking, either you know Track IR or the clip or something like that. I may attempt, you know, going into VR. That'd be sick. But you know, one step at a time. But yeah, I plan to sink a lot of time into learning how to fly the Hornet. And going through. Yeah, for sure, dude. I really enjoy even I have open track or AI track, I think. Open track's the software, but AI track, and I just use it through my webcam. And like I said earlier, it's really jittery. Sometimes it can be smooth, but it's it's free software, and I don't have any IR points for it to focus on, so it's hard for it to be completely accurate. But I do enjoy using it. I just figured, streaming and stuff that people probably weren't gonna enjoy, constantly moving around, and sometimes, if it turns too far and then the head goes crazy and all this stuff, even though, I've set it to be about as accurate of a response curve as I possibly could. But
while TACAN navigation is a great tool to get back to your airfield or carrier, many times you will need the ability to set arbitrary navigation points. This is where waypoint navigation comes in. The Hornet allows you to have 3 sequences of waypoints that you could use to mark anything from a turn point, a target, or to a threat location. Waypoints can be created in both the mission editor and while in the Hornet cockpit. For this lesson though, we will focus on a waypoint sequence already created. I currently have the lesson paused. Press spacebar to continue.
I really appreciate the help, man. It's great information for me. Definitely appreciate it. I'll definitely probably hit you up. Like I said, I'm looking to learn as much as possible. Appreciate you being in the video, and we'll see you next time, hopefully. And X-Arch, yeah, I noticed that because I would play kind of how it is now. It's actually more lit up in here than it was previous to playing it, because I have a replay on me now. But I noticed it worked better when I just had the lights in the room on. But that just made everything bright and atmosphere of playing the game. I just wanted it to be dark. So I did notice that. That's why I was thinking, with the clip or something like that, would make it obviously a lot more accurate. I know a lot of the guys that stream DCS, they either have track IR or the clip, and there's no other way to go really from what it looks like from those guys, big name guys for DCS.
Let's first set the left DDI to the HSI page. Press the time push button. We are now on the tactical page, so a press of the time push button again will bring us to the support page. Now on the support page, select the HSI push button. This will display the horizontal situation indicator. Much of this will look familiar from the TACAN lesson. Instead of pressing the TCN push button though, press the waypoint push button this time. This will box waypoint and allow display of more waypoint navigation information on the HSI and HUD. We are currently at waypoint 0, as indicated on the right side of the HUD and between the up and down arrows along the right side of the left DDI. Press the up arrow to select the next waypoint, waypoint 1. With waypoint 1 selected, note the distance to the waypoint, and the waypoint number is displayed on the right side of the HUD, and a steering bar to the waypoint is along the heading tape. On the HSI, you can now better see the waypoint marker that appears as a small circle with a dot in the center. By pressing the SEC1 push button, it will box it and display dashed connecting lines between the waypoints in the selected sequence. In the top right portion of the HSI, data of the selected waypoints is shown. The top row is the bearing and distance to the waypoint, and below is the hours, minutes, seconds to the waypoint. Inscribed inside the compass rows is a triangle that indicates the heading to the selected waypoint, with a corresponding tail opposite of it. Press spacebar to continue. As with TACAN, you can also set a course line through the selected waypoint. This can be useful by placing a waypoint on a runway and using the course line for a direct approach, or as a reference for the downwind leg of an overhead landing pattern. Press spacebar to continue. By selecting the Auto Waypoint Sequence option, the navigation system will automatically select the next waypoint in sequence as each waypoint is reached. This avoids having to manually select the next waypoint while navigating a sequence. When you are ready, I will unpause the lesson and allow you to navigate the waypoint sequence. Ahead of you is a sequence of waypoints along a low-altitude flight plan. Try to fly through each gate in sequence. Press spacebar to unpause the lesson. To more easily fly this sequence, you may wish to adjust the HSI scale. You can use this in conjunction with the next waypoint distance and steering cue on the HUD to best align yourself to intercept the next gate. At any point you can end this lesson by pressing the escape key.
CD skills. Gotta love Betty. Is that nickname for the Hornet, or I haven't heard that one. I got you, yeah. Always keeping you in line. Probably fly this thing blind with all the warnings that pop up. Alright, where are we flying to next? Tbilisi? 5X. That's a long flight. I don't know if we'll do that one. Haven't been out there yet, though. We can go to Batumi. Let's do that. We'll turn around. That's 16. Off here a little bit. Get some speed, dang. What I'm doing. What was that? 16. Something right. Hey, for sure, man. Gotta get up there somehow. I'm just trying to learn as much as I can. You know, this is huge learning curve, and I have very, very few hours in the game. I know how to start the Hornet up pretty good. I can get it off the ground, but then past that, it's there's a lot going on, a lot that I gotta figure out. Try and master landing, I think, after I get all this navigation stuff and see what these tutorials have in store for me. That's pretty much all I'm going through right now. I think the last time I looked, I was at 50 hours. I might be at 60 now, give or take, somewhere in there. A lot of that time was just learning the startup process, and then getting in the air, whether that be off a runway or off a carrier, and then flying around and pretty much crashing. That's that's what it was. That's all I do pretty much. I did shoot down an AI. I did run like a fast mission, and I was able to gun down an AI, but their difficulty level was like novice or whatever the lowest difficulty is. But either way, I shot him down, you know. I did my best, and then I think I crashed trying to land.
In previous lessons, we learned how to take off and navigate, but what goes up must come down. In this lesson, we'll go over the basics of landing a Hornet at an airfield in visual flight rules conditions using a straight-in approach. This will also be useful for the later instrument flight rules landing lesson. I currently have the lesson paused as I want to first outline the basics of an airfield VFR straight-in approach. Before flying this lesson, please make sure you are familiar with the HUD symbology as described in the manual and first lesson. Press spacebar to continue. You'll start the approach 11 miles out at 3,000 feet barometric and 260 knots on approach to runway 07 at Cobaleti. Once at 5 miles, you will be at 1,500 feet, and this will place you on a 3-degree glide path to the runway. To measure your glide path angle, reference your velocity vector on the HUD in relation to the pitch ladder. A 3-degree flight path is standard for a Hornet landing. For a straight-in approach, we will keep the HUD showing barometric altitude. This will also be true for IFR landings.
The mods have a lot of useful information, and I think they cover a lot of things that, well, I guess I should say they cover so much, but it can't be like an actual, or it isn't an actual, like, you know, what they would teach you if you went to a flight school or something. You know what I'm saying? Like, they have to be able to make it manageable, rather than years of work, I guess. So I definitely agree with that they miss you know, some information that I think would help make it easier if we were to go through like that time span. And granted, I'll probably take that long to learn how to fly this plane. So, but yeah, I've watched like Sidewinder, Spud Knocker. I don't think Duck's Guide. I don't think I've watched or read anything on that. There's just a few people on YouTube that I've watched, you know, a couple hours worth of videos. I think Spud Knockers has a really good tutorial one. It's like an hour and a half long that I watched, with a lot of useful information. You know, most of it I haven't retained because I watched it one time. I'll have to watch it, you know, a few more times and then do the mods and then, you know, figure it out. How much time you got in the game? I was talking to a guy earlier. He said he had like 1,700 hours. Hold on, what he said. 1,700 hours in the F-18, 900 hours in the 16, and 600 hours in the Tomcat, which is absolutely insane. The amount of hours that he has. I couldn't imagine, you know, how much that guy has done and knows. I mean, he helped me out with quite a bit, landing wise and doing some navigation stuff. But yeah, I mean, how much time do you have in the game?
After the lesson is unpaused, reduce your throttle to idle and fly through the gates ahead. Once your airspeed is below 250 knots, lower the landing gear by moving the landing gear control handle down. Do this by left-clicking the handle or by pressing the G key. Also lower the flaps to fold down by moving the flap switch in the down fold position, either by left-clicking on the switch twice or pressing left control F. Once the gear and flaps are down, keep flying through the gates and get the aircraft to an on-speed angle of attack. This is the proper AOA that will achieve the correct hook angle to catch the target wire of the carrier. You will want an angle of attack of 8.1 degrees, which will place the velocity vector on the HUD in the center of the E bracket. Additionally, your angle of attack target of 8.1 degrees is indicated by the AOA indexer lights to the left of the HUD frame. When at the on-speed AOA, the center yellow circle will be illuminated. Use the throttle to adjust your glide path and pitch trim to adjust AOA when the flaps are down. Use the first part of this flight to practice stabilized on-speed flight. Press spacebar to continue.
Hey, 230 hours, man. It's more than me. You gotta know more than me for sure. Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to play, you know, as much as I can with the time that I got. So I'll definitely get there eventually. I wouldn't be surprised if, you know, a couple years down the road, I've sank a lot of hours into this game because, man, planes and jets and stuff like this, I've been interested in since I was a little kid. You know, it's always fascinated me. So being able to play this and actually be immersed into it is really cool to me. So it's something that's going to keep my attention for a long time. And then, yeah, that Chucks, I'll have to take a look at that, especially if it's free. That's awesome. You know, to help people out with the amount of information that I'm sure it has. I'll have to check that out. I appreciate, you know, bringing that up to me.
When you're ready, press spacebar and I will unpause the lesson. Being below 250 knots, go ahead and lower your landing gear and drop the flaps to full. Reduce your airspeed by setting the throttles to idle. You may also wish to extend your speed brake by using the speed brake switch on the right throttle grip or by pressing left shift B to get slower more quickly. Note the SPD BRK light on the instrument panel when the speed brake is extended. As you slow below 140 knots, retract the speed brake by using the speed brake switch or pressing left control B. Adjust the throttle and stick trim to maintain 8.1 degrees of angle of attack. Velocity vector inside the E bracket. Use the gates as a reference for your glide path by keeping the velocity vector in the center of the next gate.
Man, I'm not good at landing at all. Hey man, I appreciate you coming in and chatting for a little bit, pointing me in the right direction, and I appreciate the follow, man. Thank you very much. It's awesome. I'll see you around. Hopefully, have fun flying. Stay safe. I think I got it now. I'm a little low. I got that shit in the E bracket now, boy.
At this point, you should be on speed with an angle of attack of 8.1 degrees, indicated by the velocity vector in the center of the E bracket on the HUD. Use throttle input to adjust your glide path such that the E bracket is positioned over the runway threshold. Use pitch trim to keep on-speed AOA. You should now be on a 3-degree glide path down the runway.
Oh, I got something wrong. My carrot's not a donut. Know that much. Something's not right. If I drop speed a little bit. Oh, I got the wrong thing. E-bracket.
Maintain on-speed AOA, and your glide path should be aligned with the runway threshold.
Okay, now we're getting somewhere. Okay. Back in it now, boys. Speed, give her a little juice.
Maintain on-speed AOA and fly the aircraft onto the runway with a vertical velocity of no more than 750 feet per minute, as displayed over the HUD altitude indication. Do not flare. Once the nose wheel comes down, use the rudder to keep the aircraft centered down the runway, and use the wheel brakes to bring her to a halt.
400, 500. Ooh, right at 730, I think is what it was. That's my best landing yet. I know you guys haven't. Well, beginning of the video, there was a really bad landing. Pretty embarrassed about that. But this one was pretty good. Pretty happy about that. Granted, I was lined up perfectly.
Well done. You can end the lesson now by pressing the escape key.
Be Gucci. That is buttered right there. Well, I think we're going to call it a quits for tonight. Got through a few of these modules. I have to probably run through them again for most of the information to stick, but yeah, appreciate everybody watching, everybody, you know, helping me out, commenting, whatever. Hope to see you guys again, and thanks for watching.